From our survey of political powers of the post-Maurya period, we may now move on to the study of polity, political organization, statecraft of this period. It is quite evident that monarchical state polity had become quite familiar over greater parts of the subcontinent, and this is an experience not merely limited to the Ganga Valley or North Indian plains. We should, however, keep in mind that there were some pockets of non-monarchical political groups called Ganas, Ganasanghas. These were located in the Punjab, parts of Haryana, in some areas of Rajasthan, also in certain areas of, particularly in the forest tracts of present-day Madhya Pradesh. We have already indicated that perhaps in the far south, the existence of chieftainship rather than full-fledged kingship can be seen from our previous survey of political activities in the deep south or the Dravida Desha area. But let us look at the most frequently seen form of polity, that is the monarchical state. Monarchy has become pretty widespread in the subcontinent, largely because of the impact of Maurya rule over more than a century, and that was not merely limited to North India but definitely penetrated into peninsular India. In this case, now let us look at the organization of polity. Many texts on political theory, like the Manu Samhita, the Shanti Parvan of the Mahabharata, and of course the Kautilya Arthashastra, regularly speak of 7 elements or limbs that make the state, at least the monarchical state. These 7 elements are the Swami, or the head of the state, mostly the Raja or the king. Then comes the Amatya, or the functionaries, including ministers or mantris. The third is the Janapada or Rashtra, meaning the territory, or more specifically populated territory. Durga or Pura, that is the fortified urban area, or more specifically the capital of the particular state. Then Kosha, that is treasury. Danda or Bala, that is armed forces, and the 7th and the last is Mitra or Surit, that is friendly power or ally of a particular power. All the theorists would invariably consider the Swami or the Raja as the foremost of all the elements or the limbs of the state. While the Raja is the most important, he is closely followed by the high functionaries of the state. Despite the graded importance of these limbs or elements, the very use of the term Anga, meaning a limb, and therefore indicating the presence of 7 limbs, suggests that early Indian theorists on polity tried to look at the state as a body-politic. And this is an interesting situation, and therefore, like the different limbs of the human body, each and every limb of the state had a very specific function to discharge, and though they were of graded importance, they were in this sense indispensable. Whatever be their function, how important or how relatively less important be their function, each of these 7 elements were indispensable to the making of the state. So the concept of a body politic is clearly emerging during this period. The origin of monarchy as an institution, the origin of kingship as an political institution, brings certain legends out of which the concept of kingship becomes clear to us. The story usually is the ruler or the king is absolutely necessary because the ruler provides protection to the life and property of the subject called Rakshana, and he also is the principal authority to maintain Palana, maintain the ideal social order, that is, maintaining the Varnashrama Dharma. So, the twin plank of Rakshana and Palana are the sacred duties of the ruler. Since the ruler renders these two vital duties, the ruler is entitled to a share of the produce in the form of taxes. In fact, the taxes in some texts has been seen as wage, vetana for the ruler. So what emerges from here? The possibility of a very early contractual theory of the origin of kingship, in that the ruler renders certain duties, and because of rendering those duties, he is entitled to a share of the produce which is brought by his subjects. So the subject has certain functions to render, and similarly the ruler also has number of duties to render. So there is this element of contractual position between the ruler and his subjects. Along with this early notions of contractual theory, in this period very prominently figures the concept of the divinity of the ruler. We may recall that the Mauryas hardly considered themselves as having a divine origin or as the representative of the god in this world. But now, in the post-Maurya period, the ruler, either he is thought in the political treatises as something analogous to, say, Indra, hero like Indra. He is considered as equivalent to Varuna, because Varuna is the upholder of the cosmic law and order. He is considered equivalent to Kuvera, because like Kuvera, he presides over wealth. This is something what may be called functional divinity. The functions of certain gods are equivalent to the functions of kings. But beyond that, rulers of this time began to claim either divine descent or claimed direct divinity. The classic case is that of the Kushanas. The Kushana rulers systematically assumed the title, particularly in their inscription, as Devaputra, son of God, claiming therefore directly divine descent. This title, Devaputra, was derived from the Chinese epithet that the ruler is the son of heaven. Along with that, the Kushana ruler, Vimokatphises, in an inscription claims to have been the authority of cosmic law, not merely the earthly law but even cosmic law and order, Dom Artha. Similarly, in another inscription, Kushana ruler Huvishka claims that he was Deva Manusha, that is, a god in human form. This comes remarkably parallel to the famous dictum of the Manu Samhita that even an infant ruler could not be disobeyed because he is verily a great god, Mahate Devata, standing in human form, Nararupa. So there is a remarkable parity in the claim of divinity in theoretical treatises and the practice of the claim of divinity by several rulers. Most remarkably, the Kushanas in their coins was portrayed invariably with a halo or a nimbus behind his head. Such halo or nimbus does not accompany an ordinary mortal human being. And the use of the halo behind the head of the Kushana ruler indicates that he was portrayed as a suprahuman being, a supramundane being. The Kushanas took this even further. They established, at least at 5 places, dynastic sanctuaries, which were called in Sanskrit Devaputra and in Iranian and Bactrian language as Bogologgo. These were located at Mat near Mathura, at Surkotal in Afghanistan, at Rabatak in Afghanistan, and 2 places in Central Asia, Khalchayan and ARTA. We have very graphic description of such dynastic sanctuaries at Rabatak from the Rabatak inscription. In such dynastic sanctuaries, not only the images of Kushana rulers were available as objects of veneration, particularly dead rulers, but even in the very first regnal year of Kanishka, when he was the king, his image was set up as an object of propitiation and veneration. What we see here very clearly is a cult of the emperor. Something like this we have never seen before in Indian history. This is the period when divine rulership was repeatedly claimed by different rulers. And this is also the time when rulers regularly performed various types of Vedic sacrifices like Ashwamedha, Bajapaya, Rajasuya, etc. The ruler definitely is the central point in the administration, but he could not run the administration single-handed and required assistance. This assistance came in the form of the Amatyas, the second element of the state. The Amatyas included the Mantri, the minister, and Sachivas, who come close to our understanding of what is a secretary, a bureaucratic officer. Thus, we find at Junagadh, Rudradaman's governor in Junagadh area was an Amatya. Similarly, such Amatyas figure repeatedly in inscriptions of the Satavahana rulers and their successors. We find the Kushanas entrusting the management of regional level of administration with the Kshatrapas. The term Kshatrapa is obviously derived from the very early experience of Achaemenid, the Persian rule in India back in the 6th century BC. This system of satrapal administration is a legacy from the impact of Iranian rule in India. The Kshatrapas were ruling during the time of Kanishka, say in the area of Varanasi, Kaushambi. Sometimes such Kshatrapas were military officers, that is Dandanayaka. This indicates that the Kshatrapas, or though primarily looking after civilian form of administration, could have come from the military ranks, thereby indicating that there was not much line of demarcation between civil administration and military administration.